It's Vernisa, and I'm here to speak up. It's time to speak up. Hello, everyone. My name is Vernisa, and this is my podcast, Speak Up. Hope you guys are all having a great week so far. Welcome, new listeners. I'm glad you're here joining. For those of you that don't know, the mission statement for this podcast is we'll use our voices to motivate people to overcome life's challenges through self-love and respect. So y'all know this is the place for self-love. So I'd love to hear y'all feedback. Feel free to comment in the comment box below to join the discussion. But before I get started, a quick shout out to my amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester in Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done. Ask for mine. Tell them that SpeakUpJV sent you. The Instagram is at myy.bar. And also shout out to Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All the products are created with you in mind for a goal to let your self-love show through your self-care. The chemical-free hair and skincare products are handmade, plant-based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com. The Instagram is at beactualnatural. So yes, I hope you guys this week is off to a great start. We are now in a new month. We're in September. We're now in the end of the year. And I think it was just very important to do this type of episode that I'm going to do tonight because, holidays are coming up, summertime's coming to an end, and, it's easy to get complacent. And, as much as this is a good time to enjoy, it's also a good time too to not forget your why and forget what you're going after. So tonight's episode is titled Turn This Up. So it's about turning up your grind, knowing when to turn your grind up, and knowing that breakdowns on the journey are normal. I think when we think of grind mode, we think of us going at 100 at all times, and honestly, no, it's actually going to be pauses, pivots, breakdowns. The car might break down, this, and this, but it's about keep going and knowing when it's time to pivot and turn it up and just work a little harder. It's needed. So I'm excited for tonight's episode. I feel like, when I do these episodes too, they're also reminders for myself. I'm not just speaking to the crowd, this, and this. I learn when I'm on here talking. I'm holding myself accountable as well. So yeah, we're going to get into it. So it is now time for the Acts Up segment. So the Acts Up question of the day is, how do you turn up your grind? So if you're listening out there, please comment. I would love to hear your answers for what you do to turn up your grind. I actually do go back and read the comments. So I love when you guys engage in the discussion. So I'm going to start with my answer. How do I turn up my grind? I actually turn up my grind by getting focused. And I say that by muting out distractions, actually setting out the time. You know what, this is what I want to focus on. I love to map things out, list things out. I like to have a list of how I'm going to get that done. So if there's a big goal that I want, or I know, or there's a pivot, something happened that kind of delayed what I'm trying to do, I like to really sit down and write out, okay, what steps do I need to take to make some motion happen and bring in some motion. I like to acknowledge when there's a pause, and get through it, but I don't like to dwell on it too long. It's okay. I'm not saying don't feel anything if there's a pause to your journey. Of course, you're going to feel something. You're going to feel some type, especially if it's something drastic. But allow yourself to get back up. How long are you going to waddle in it? Actually tweeted something today about this, saying, the longer you prolong it, it won't make it easier. And, I think sometimes we'll push steps to the side thinking it'll get easier because we did. Then actually it's going to be the same challenge. You're just picking it up later. So that's how I turn up my grind. I think by listing out my next move and then just executing it. A lot of action, not a lot of talk. And then if I do talk, I use that as a way to hold myself accountable. I'm like, if I talk about it, I have to do it now because I already announced it and this, and this. So let's talk about the importance of knowing when it's time to turn up your grind. There's a lot of different things when you know it's time. I think when you catch yourself in a complacent space where nothing's changing, let's say you're doing the same thing over and over again, you're trying your hardest, you're doing your hardest, doing the best that you can, and nothing's changing. Okay, maybe it's time to turn your grind up. And when I say that, doesn't mean do something faster, but you might have to change the plan, change the roadmap. You might have to get advice from somebody, figure out what's not working and replace it with something that is going to work. Another way we know it's time to turn up your grind when there's a drastic change. So something might happen that might knock you 10 steps back. Okay, you have to turn your grind up now and figure it out. Okay, I got to work a little harder because this, and this, So I think, it's really acknowledging when it's time to do that and not getting stuck in the delay. I think when we get stuck in the delay, that's when we end up kind of like falling into excuses and using that as our comfort zone. And then when we use excuses, there's no movement, there's no motion. Then you look up, all this time has passed, and then whatever you were grinding towards loses you. So I think that's something that helps me too. Actually, I mean, I'm not saying I love sudden shifts, but sometimes sudden shifts are that fire under your ass that you need. How many of us just kind of sit around and then like once you that little burn comes, it's like, okay, I gotta do what I gotta do. I was listening to this audio one day and it talked about it was telling a story about how a dog didn't move until it was uncomfortable, and it talked about how the dog had to fall on a needle, feel that uncomfort to finally get up. So sometimes we need that uncomfort to push us to the next level. And I've been learning to see the beauty in those uncomfortable moments. It's like, okay, I'm not where I want to be at, or and this is in the way. How can I alleviate that? And those things have definitely been helping me a lot. And we have to learn how to transmute our emotional energy to get us further. So if there's something that you really want, use those emotions as the motivation to do it. Use the pain of not having what you want as the motivation to get it done. That's like the best thing to do. Like when I'm doing something, I like to say, okay, I'm going to be proud of myself. Oh, it's going to be so worth it. That you have to speak that life into yourself when you're turning up your grind. Because if you're not being nice to yourself, if you're saying you can't do it, or if you're making it seem more difficult than what it is, you're actually going to trick your brain into thinking that you can't accomplish it. So I've been definitely learning the power of that. I'm actually, I always talk about my running journey on here. I'm actually prepping for a half marathon, and I'm gonna be real. When I started running, that seemed so much to me. Like, oh my goodness, all those miles, this, and this. But like honestly, just using those emotions, transmuting that, telling myself that I can, pushing myself to that next level, challenging myself. Those things has pushed me to where I literally transform my mindset to where it doesn't even seem like a lot, even though I haven't ran that far yet, if that makes sense. But our minds are very powerful, and I think we can't underestimate the power of our thinking. And when you do all this stuff adds to your why. I feel like the hardships in your journey, it's going to add to your why, because it's like, okay, let's say your goal is financial freedom, your goal is to like put your family into this big old house. If things aren't working out financially, that's more of your why, because it's like, okay, well, clearly you're not where you want to be at. There's more work to be done, or let's say there's more expenses popping up in your family, in your household. It's more of a why to go after what you want. So, you're no longer in that distress of whatever it is. So, make yourself proud. And I say this with healthy pressure, not pressure of beating yourself up, but the pressure of like, I'm actually going to be a better person after I accomplish this. We're at the end of the year. It's time to make our goals happen. There's still time in 2023. I know the holidays are a huge distraction. We get there, we're like, oh my goodness, this is like, I'm not saying don't spend time with your family, don't eat those yummy meals. However, still carve out time for your goals. I've been learning the importance of time management, just having those roadmaps. Yeah, you got those days when you say, F it, I'm just going to lounge, but those days when you want to get something done, at least set aside an hour or two for that productivity, a step towards your goal, so you feel good about yourself. I've had days where I've had enjoyment days, but then I still like carved out an hour to do something productive, like whether that was to do a run or to do something towards my passions, or to make some money. You feel good when you kind of do both, when you actually enjoy yourself even more, because you're like, wow, I had this productive day, I did this and this, and I got to enjoy myself. Well, we got 4 months left of this month, or 3 or 4 months. There's so much that can be done, especially if you break down your days, and we got a lot of time before the actual holidays hit. Make yourself proud going into 2024, going into a new year. My birthday's in January, so I look at the end of the year as a big deal, because me turning another year in age approaches when the year ends. So I feel like I really like to take the end of the year serious for me personally. End of the day, time waits for no one. Time's always going to be ticking, and it's like, do you want to look back and say, dang, I could have done this, and it's like, don't look back with regrets. Make yourself proud. Know that you did something towards your purpose. You did something for somebody else. You did an act of kindness, whether it's something small, like all that could be a part of turning up your grind. Turning up your grind, I feel like it doesn't mean just work or making money. It could just be turning up your grind of being a better person, turning up your grind of helping others, turning up your grind of loving yourself deeper, like just turning that up. Whatever that is, whatever that means for you, whatever journey you're on right now. Like some people, we are in a space of making more money. Some of us are loving ourselves deeper right now. Some of us are giving a lot of our energy to our family right now, helping them out. So whatever that means for you, apply that to that theme, and I want to say this too, it's okay to pause, but please keep a sense of direction. So like I said, the holidays are coming up, a lot of us are taking trips, doing this, and this, but I always have that direction. I always have that reminder. I always talk about this on every episode, but I like to have my weekly goals on my whiteboard. That helps me keep some sense of direction, even if like things happen that week that I didn't first. At least I know, okay, this, and this are like those main things I wanted to accomplish. And you just always feel good, after doing it. Like it really is good for your mental health when you show up for yourself. Like I can't explain it. Like, when you got you, it's like, even when obstacles appear, you're like, okay, I know I'm going to get past this, and keep a healthy balance when doing so. So, I'm not doing this episode to put pressure on anybody, to make people feel, make us feel like we're not doing enough. Cause like I said, I'm holding myself accountable in this episode as well. But this is just that healthy reminder of like, know when it's time to like, get out the comfort zone, cause honestly, the comfort zone, it's a lie. It's a facade. It's a mirage. It seems comfortable, but really it's actually not helping you in the long run. So it is time for the tweet up segment. So y'all know that I like to be on Twitter, or it's called X now, whatever it's called. But something that I tweeted this week that goes with tonight's episode is excuses are the worst places to find comfort. So speaking of excuses and speaking of the comfort zone, I feel like we hide behind excuses sometimes and think it's comfort. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is my safe space. But is it really safe if it's stopping you from achieving what you really want to achieve? Excuses are lies. Excuses, they work for that second, but once like you're done saying what the excuse is, the feeling of it disappears. You don't feel great after, and I'm speaking all this from experience. There's times I've I still do. I'm human, but I'm learning to not find comfort in that. I'm learning to like, if I say I'm going to do something, really executing it, and going for it, and not finding it in the comfort zone. Acknowledge how much power you give to excuses. Excuses only get the power that we give it, honestly. So if we're like living behind excuses, rooting excuses on, that's actually what our life's going to turn into. And, it actually makes it harder to grow a healthy network, a motivating environment when you're just a person full of excuses. Like people aren't going to want to help you when you're that person that they can't rely on. They see you're not showing up for yourself. How are people going to want to show up for you if you're not even showing up for yourself? So, I think that's just something sometimes like when we're doing our self-reflection, things to think of, the more you prolong your journey, the harder it is to get back on track. There's a lot of things that I was like, oh, I'll start this soon. And then it's like, when I finally went back to it, my mind wasn't even set on it anymore. And it's like, it doesn't even feel the same versus when I had that rush. I can't think of how many, there's this book. I'm sorry. One of my friends was telling me this. I don't know if it was a book or article. Y'all quote me in the comments, if y'all know what I'm talking about, but she was saying how, I don't know if it's an author or motivational speaker, but that how they talked about how, you literally, if there's something that you want to do, count to 5 and just do it. And I just remember my friend told me that. And I was like, wow, like it's true. Like, just kind of like do it. Cause sometimes too, like we psych ourselves out and, I like just think of like, if I just go ahead and get it over with, I don't have to worry about it later. Because the more you prolong it, you're actually stopping yourself from getting other things done that you had planned anyway. Because you can still have that in the back of your mind, and surround yourself with people with a solution-based mindset. So if all y'all we all sit around with excuses or we're not holding each other accountable, what's going to get done? I got a couple friends. They know I'm prepping for this big, for a big run. And they check on me. They text me, hey girl, have you been eating healthy? Hey girl, are you running? Did you run this week? Like, it's keeping me on track. It's stopping me from excuses because it's like, okay, I'm being held accountable. I have no choice now but to stay committed to that goal that I announced I was going to do. So these are just some things to keep in mind. But it's now time for the Life Up segment. So, y'all, the life up segment is when I take the topic and I relate it to the issue in today's world. So, tonight's life up segment is people turning off their grind when it's really time to turn it up, letting challenges distract them from their main goals, and turning pauses into complete stops. This is huge. I think it's easy to get discouraged, when something happens and then we kind of like fall into whatever that is. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging life circumstances. Things are going to happen to us, but it's like, okay, what are you going to do about it going forward? This happened to you. How are you going to move forward? And I think we have to sit there sometimes and pause and ask ourselves, like, how bad do we really want what we were chasing before such and such happened? You know, I learned, I've been seeing, actually, this is confirmation. I've been seeing this quote a lot lately, that obstacles and challenges are the story. They're not distractions. There are distractions, but they're not like random things that pop up in your life. They're a part of that journey. So it's like, take it for what it is. They're going to be there, things are going to happen, distractions, whatever. And it's up to us to pivot and maneuver. It's like if we're doing a maze, you're going to hit the wall, but you're going to just find another way and get through the maze. And I think life is literally that. Sometimes we have this beautiful plan mapped out and it's just all these boulders in the way. And it's like, what do? We just keep maneuvering, but let's say you're doing a maze, you're drawing, you're completing one with a paper and a pen. You're not going to stop doing the maze. You're going to figure out how to get to the end so you can say you completed it. And I think we need to look at life that way sometimes. It is a maze and we're going to hit walls, but it's like, what are we going to do about it in that moment? How are we going to pivot? What's good for our mental health? What's good for our mind to push through it? And, another one I want to throw in too is the rise of comparison on social media. So this goes with the whole grind thing too. Like, people are always comparing themselves on social media, but I think too, like, it's a lot of people hindering other people as they're going at different speeds. And when I say turning up your grind, I'm not saying doing it fast. We're all moving at different speeds. We all have different factors, different boulders holding us back, but it's just about like just staying going. The point is keep going, and not looking at somebody else's story and thinking that's how yours is supposed to look, because it's not. You try to go on the freeway and speed past somebody, they might end up turning and going a whole nother direction. So you have to pay attention to your journey and your roadmap. How do we fix all of this? Embrace the challenge, learn from the challenge, allow the challenge to do what it's supposed to do. Whether that is for you to learn, for you just to turn around and take a different path, a different direction on your journey. And stop comparing yourself to people on social media or in real life, people in your circle. We all got different journeys. We all have different whys, and let's embrace that. And, and enjoy and utilize the pause and the breakdown of the journey. And when I say breakdown, we all had those sometimes. How many of us, we all cope with stress differently, but how many of us have had those breakdowns where you just kind of had a crying moment or you just had to vent? I learned that's part of the journey too. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean, you're about to give up, but sometimes you need a moment just to get yourself together and just figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? Or if you're so passionate about what you want, sometimes that's where those emotions are coming from, and honor those emotions. I think it's beautiful when you're passionate about something and that it makes you cry because you're like kind of frustrated because it's not going there, because it shows how bad you really want it. And guess what? When you like let those tears pass, you go get back up and do what you got to do. And the breakdowns and the pauses on the journey are times to reflect. Sometimes we just got to sit still and just reflect. I did a post about this today, talking about the importance of just slowing down. We're all trying to rush, we're all rushing, attempting to get to the next chapter super fast, this and this. We're always going to be like that, because I feel like you make it to the next chapter, there's always going to be something else you're kind of looking forward to, or like, and you're missing what's in front of you. And I've been learning to just embrace the people that I know at this moment, the food that I ate today, the experience I experienced, like whatever that is. What does that look like to you? Embrace that, and also too, these breakdowns remind you of how bad you really want it. So take note of that as well. And it also allows you to make the required adjustments. So, we're not perfect. We're going to have moments on our journey where we make huge mistakes or little mistakes. And sometimes you need to stop your car, pause, and figure out what's going on so you can do better. Challenges push you to make the best adjustment. I feel like challenges help perfect you. It's the error, and it's like, okay, what do I need to do to be stronger to be better? It is now time for it. So if you're out there listening, please pull out some water and drink some water. And I have a water fact for tonight. Please drink some water. It's still hot, even though we push it in the fall. Tonight's water fact is: you might have wondered, does water give you energy? The answer is yes. That's because when you don't get enough water, your body stops working due to a condition called dehydration. Dehydration can make you feel sluggish, tired, and moody, according to dripdrop.com. So let's drink some water. Let's get some energy to get back on our marathon, to turn our grind up. If you ain't drinking water, shoot, you ain't even thinking straight. Look, so you don't want to be moody, sluggish, and tired while you're pivoting, while you're adjusting, while you're getting back on track. So please drink your water. Now back to the episode. I want to say this too. Figure out what's causing you to stop on your journey. So when you're turning up your grind, or you feel like you're in the need to turn up your grind, what is the cause of the issue to where this even needs to be done in the first place? Sometimes we hold in too much baggage and we need to just drop it off before we get back on the road. Too much people in our car. You need to change your environment for a second before you get back on the road, before you can focus. I've been learning that, the power of changing my environment, who I associate with, what I'm around, what am I spending my time and energy doing, with who, with what, whatever. All those things matter, and, you really could turn your grind up better when you're focused. When you have that clarity, when those distractions are out your face, when the doubters are out of your face, how can you turn your grind up effectively if, you got some BS in your ear? And, give yourself grace on the journey. I know on this episode, I'm talking, turn your grind up, this and this, but like I say, this looks different for everybody. I'm not saying you need to get all this million tasks done in one day, this and this, but turning your grind up means doing your best, doing what you can do. And turning your grind up might be you need some more rest and you need to just recharge so you can do more. There's probably ways we need to prep ourselves to even turn our grind up. The other day I acknowledged the fact I needed some rest, and I just said, to get that rest, and I've been charged ever since doing what I need to do. So that was a part of turning my grind up, was giving myself the preparation I needed to go after what I want to do. So like I said, all this looks different for everybody, so take consideration in that. So it is time for the Poet Up segment. So y'all know I like to write poetry. It's one of my newest segments on SpeakUpJV. So there's a short quote from one of my poems titled Forgiveness. The stars are not aligned when I think about the betrayal that shined through and eventually dimmed my trust towards you. A grudge is what I have. Condensed as a can, tied as a knot, I willingly cut ties with you. So this is one of my poems called Forgiveness. So I feel like having a poetry segment on here keeps me accountable to writing, because sometimes I get caught up in life and I'm like, no, this will help me keep coming out with more quotes and stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this short and sweet poem quote. And feel free to send me any poetry if you want it to be featured on my Poet Up segment. Now back to the episode. Let's jump into the Show Up segment. This is the Show Up segment. So how did I show up for myself this week? How did I show up for myself this week? I would say one way that I showed up for myself this week, what did I do this week? I didn't let nothing faze me. I feel like, there's some stuff going on in my personal life. And, I just be living. I just did my thing, still enjoyed myself, allow myself to smile and be myself. So that's how I showed up for myself this week. I think, when you show up for yourself too, there's going to be factors in your life that, different things that can be going on, but, you still have to know, you are happy within yourself, and you're doing what you can to keep yourself happy, keep yourself thriving. So that's how I showed up for myself this week, just keeping the spark in my spirit. So yeah, feel free to answer, you guys, in the comments. How did you show up for yourself this week? I would love to read and see what you come up with. And, I want to say this too, don't stop showing up for yourself on the journey. Part of turning up the grind is You got to be present for yourself to do so, to know what you want, to put in the extra work, whatever that is, to put yourself in the right environment. So don't stop showing up for yourself. Turning up your grind is showing up for yourself, is being there for you. It is now time for the wrap up segment. So, how does this relate to self love? Self love is loving yourself enough to turn up your grind, to be serious about what you want, to be intentional, to make the moves to get there. That's what showing up for yourself is. So I just want to throw that out there. Please show up for yourself and continue loving yourself, and listen to the voice that tells you to turn your grind up. We always have a little sudden whisper in our ear. Listen to that. So if you slack and there's areas you can improve on, why not take the time to figure out what it is, what's causing it, and to do so. And remember how proud of yourself you will be. Remember, you're your biggest fan. Be your biggest fan, like Jim used to say on here. Be proud of yourself. You'll be so proud of yourself when you accomplish those things that you want to do. I like to tell myself that, like, I'm doing something and it seems hard. I'm like, oh, I would be so proud of myself if I finish this. And it keeps me going because I'm like, I'm doing this for me. And, like Beyonce said, I know that I will never disappoint myself. So love yourself through this. I appreciate y'all tapping into my 24th episode of my newest segment, SpeakUpJV Now. Before I go, a quick shout out to my amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester in Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done. Ask for mine. Tell them that SpeakUpJV sent you. The Instagram is at myy.bar. Also, shout out to Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All their products are created with you in mind for a go to let your self-love show through your self-care. The chemical-free hair and skincare products are handmade, plant-based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself by taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com. The Instagram is at BeActualNatural. I will be back next week. I actually have a guest next week, so stay tuned for that. Y'all subscribe on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Tell your friends about SpeakUpJV. Also have a giveaway coming soon. I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of y'all week. Talk soon. Bye.